many years
Oh,
ago,
wow.
Yeah.
in 1990 or
Something we
1991,
wait for
I
time.
joined the boat club.
Fred.
And I don't know if you know
Here he
what's called the
comes.
boat club. It's a couple of acres on Little Round Lake.
It does have air conditioning.
It does. It's really cold in here.
I was a member
You
for,
get used to it.
Oh, is that what that was? You turned the corner.
Yeah.
That's how you
driveway,
know.
garage, yeah, house there.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a member for like 28 years. I was in charge of it for the longest time.
It's coming
And,
up.
it was great. We used to go swimming here.
We're
all the
being
time.
so
We had
disappointed we
sand
weren't doing anything. But I dug out,
I just stopped using it. The kids got away.
when I was nominated,
We said,
Drew had filmed
we
me,
don't even go there.
recorded me on his
So
phone.
we stopped.
Ah,
Right? So I dug out
That's where you
that.
can store boats.
And when
yeah.
I
See all the boats?
gave your
See all the boats?
speech,
You're sold.
Samson.
No, I had,
Sam
we
Shapiro,
had a canoe
I
down
agreed
there.
for you, so
But it was, became
I
a
watched
boat
that.
club canoe.
I
Yeah, it's been kind of
If you
quiet
want-
here this year.
What?
Kind of quiet here this
Doesn't
year.
like
Yeah,
kayaks.
you want a copy of
We just
that
canoe.
video, I can
That's
send
it.
it.
Oh, you know what, that'd be great.
Once you get in, it's not like you used to, when you get in and out of a kayak like you used to.
And then I
Yeah.
said, into
It's not the
the
same,
paper.
you just pop right out.
There's nothing worse than
Why
going
not?
out on that lake in a canoe on a windy day.
Right,
Just, you
The
know.
high point though is that I.
Okay, we can stop. Wait, we
You
need,
get to the stage, you
Alex.
turn around.
oh, Alex, please come.
So before we begin, I'd like to say how proud I am of these two people that don't belong to the village that wanted to shut down the meeting.
That one what?
They wanted us to shut down the meeting,
Oh,
Barley and whoever the other guy was.
I'm assuming it's Wally's attorney.
It was somebody.
No, it was Barley directed today's meeting.
Yeah.
But who was the,
The other one was the attorney for
Oh, yeah, I don't understand it.
but
And before we begin, I'll tell you, the 17 acres next to the mill sold.
Really?
Yeah,
What's that?
the 17 acres right next to the mill
Oh, yeah?
sold on Tuesday.
How much of that is what?
169.
17 acres, 1.69.
Yeah,
16.
no, 169,000.
Oh,
It's 17 acres, but 16 of them are wetlands.
16.
And it's land conservation. So I talked to Wayne Beal, who owns the mill. He wanted to buy it, he put an offer in. But I also met this wetland biologist who worked for the federal government. And I met her there twice. She would call, she has a Anchorage, Alaska telephone number because she was stationed up there. And she loves it. She thinks it's fabulous, and she got it.
She's the one that bought it?
Yep, she got it.
Is there a house on there?
Yeah, there's a house down there.
That's the one we approved that he could grow marigold? I don't know.
The only thing she wants to do is raise the foundation.
Yeah.
And she's looking at, she's talking about, she said, where's the sewer line? I said,
It's wetlands.
I said, it's pretty far. There's a holding tank there right now.
Yeah.
That's what he used.
Huh.
And I don't know about the water.
Water comes across the apartments, right? The water comes across the house with the farm part there, right? Don't they get water?
No,
No, they don't.
No?
they don't have water, the mill doesn't have water. There was talk about doing that, but
Yeah, it never came about.
nothing ever came of it.
Is the village obliged to supply it?
I think they needed an easement from Bob Clayton.
Okay.
I think he said okay. I didn't think he had an issue with it, but it was an extra cost for Belmonte, and I guess he just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have a secretary?
She was emailed.
By the way, I need to get your email eventually. For some reason,
Whatever.
I have Roadrunner, and things I was
And I kept saying, here we go again, I was doing this a couple of years ago, I was emailing you the wrong, so I said, oh, I'm doing it again, I don't know.
Sounds like the guy going slower, a little slower.
Moving forward.
This is the new, I'll pass this out, chicken walk for the village.
Peter, page 6, definition of property owner, I'm sorry, page 3, definition of property owner. Is that free title rather than fee title?
Is it what last? I'm sorry?
Page 3, definition of property owner, should that be free title rather than fee title? Typo.
Okay. No, I think that's actually what it's called.
I don't know the term, that's
Yeah,
why I
it-
took it
it's
right
one
out.
of those would be legal terms, and I will flag it for checking.
Also, the village is looking at doing something on South Lawn to, because it's so wet there. Whether it's some sort of drainage or some sort of, one of those little tree gardens, I think what they call them. So you can try to alleviate the wetness there. Make it usable.
What does with the chicken thing, what does a permit cost?
Haven't gotten that far yet.
If you've got the punishment of revoking a permit,
Yes.
and if you revoke a permit, do the structures that have been built for the chickens have to be removed? Do the structures for the chickens impinge upon coverage for zoning purposes?
Well, I would imagine that you need a quarter of an acre to have, and I don't think coverage is going to be a major issue.
Well, but if somebody's already got it, if somebody has a quarter of an acre and they're already up to their maximum coverage allowed in a quarter of an acre, then coverage becomes an issue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Most of the time, you're taking, especially with a small one, like a quarter acre, probably won't have any of them. They're not an in-ground structure, they're movable.
Right.
You know, so does that make it a structure under the coverage specification?
Well, it really would. I think it would, because even though you move it around, it's lot coverage. You're covering quite a lot, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. I just don't foresee. I'd be more concerned is what do these things look like that are chicken coops? We had one, well, we had more than one in town, but one was put up, and it's very attractive. It looks like the house. I think they get a lot of money for this chicken coop. And they sit on a quarter of an acre.
Many years ago, we went to the ZBA and got a special use permit for livestock. Does that include chickens? That special use permit that was given us at that point?
I don't know. Good question.
There's absolutely no limits on numbers or anything of that, or
But what's your zoning?
There's a limit of 6.
Farm now.
on this.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a special use permit probably 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago. And there are no limits on that.
I remember distinctly when, I think Peter was there, Mr. Kevin Cronin applied for a special use permit. He wanted to board horses
Yeah.
and raise some other animals. And we sat there on the ZBA and said, okay, what do you want? Just tell us what you want. And so, well, maybe I'll want this and maybe I'll want that. So we just had kind of hammered it, said, look, what do you want? We granted him one. I don't think he ever did anything with it. But
He did have horses for a while.
And then there were horses down by the lake, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a horse right over here too. On Second Street.
That's a horse that's different color.
That's right.
I'm probably the only one, Kevin, or Ron Lockwood was. Ron probably had a special use permit. Maybe not. But I'm probably the only one that has that at this point. So where does that put me in the right to farm law and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Retro
I didn't look at lots, any parcels larger than 2 acres. I was focusing on smaller than 2 acres.
But this applies across the board.
quarter acre. There's a separate provision for lots 2 acres or greater. In 112, section 112.
You still have to come out and get a permit, guys.
She did, actually, I think. Yeah, I don't think there was a fee when she, that she just came in after to have chickens. And we said, oh, you meet the guidelines, okay.
All right, let me research that.
So again, you have no idea what the permit cost will be.
That's something Peter and the committee
Yeah.
will have to come up with.
And if a permit gets revoked, what happens? You forfeit that money?
Yeah.
We're talking about 10 bucks.
Yeah, we're not talking
We're not
about,
talking.
we're talking, $10 to $15 for permit.
I'm sure you guys put some time into thinking this through. A quarter acre is a pretty small lot to put even 2 or 3 chickens on. And that could be a real nuisance to the neighbors pretty quickly, pretty easily. I don't know, it's,
The yellow house that I own by the lake is a quarter acre. That was a lot. That's a quarter acre, if you want to measure a quarter acre.
Yeah,
you could get real busy.
yeah, but I don't foresee a lot of,
A lot of people go there.
yeah, I don't think there's a big interest in this.
If it is, maybe it's a short time. Short term.
Right.
And if the immediate neighbors object, it doesn't happen.
But my guess is they're not going to object initially.
Yeah.
It's going to be down the road.
Until the little 3-year-old gets chased after somebody.
Well, if that happens, they're in violation because the chicken's running loose.
Exactly.
And,
So is this something we're supposed to act on, or just?
no, we just, I just wanted to let you know, the board hasn't really, and the other issue is I got a letter from your attorney, Andy's attorney, stating that, when was the next planning board going to meet, and blah, 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 blah. So I thought, okay, he wants to put this to rest. So that was one of the reasons why I said, okay, well, we're going to meet on this particular day. And then I got the email from Scott saying, oh no, you can't meet on, on his property. We're talking about his property. Well, we really didn't want to talk about his property. I think when we last left it, a year and a half ago, or it seems that way, we tabled the motion. And that's what it says, table.
Okay. Didn't we leave it that
We
the
needed all,
title, who had title to the property was the question? And
right,
then until we got something definitive on that,
right, we tabled it.
Well, I mean, they're presenting a plan for development, right? Or something.
Well, somebody expected to have it, yeah.
I mean, that's what they were here presenting stuff.
Right, yeah,
So it's not about that land, even though it's tied into that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I can't really comment on, I'm just here as an observer, but it's not
No,
that piece of land.
Right.
It's the development.
but
his plans that he submitted to us showed that he owned your property.
Well, that's wrong.
Yeah, and that's why
right,
we
but that's
tabled.
what, and that was the road, no.
Right, so that's,
That was a roadblock, right?
so we said,
But
you don't have an option on that property, it's over. So,
I mean, I don't know why they're not, they should be presenting and they're not, I can't explain why, you know.
Well, I mean, if they had it laid out, you know, where the roads and houses and stuff, I can understand if they don't have anything definite, you know. But I would say in the near future, we're going to get something from them, right? And in the near future, they're going to probably end up with some arrangement to allow that plan to go ahead. If I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, there was a settlement agreement, that's what
Right.
started the whole thing, to allow them, but they tied in an approval. They want to, you know, they don't want to buy it until there's an approval.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
So that's where it sits. So, but then they have to present to get an approval.
Right.
They're not presenting.
Now, yes.
but their agreement with you ended December 2018.
I guess not.
Well, that's what
And that's what-
that's an agreement that ended,
That's where you need to talk about the lawyer.
But again, the expectation is we're going to hear from them. They're going to have some plan. And
Hopefully,
hopefully.
that's what should happen.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I just think my lawyer was just trying to get things going, and obviously it's not. So,
And so I think our discussion here tonight is what can we reasonably expect them to present and in what form? I mean, I've forgotten completely what the acreage is up there. Buildable area. My recollection was there was 30 houses. It was that plan that we looked at a while ago.
yes.
30 houses. It was not a PBD.
Right,
It just met the normal subdivision requirements.
right. We had some questions on, you know, he has to give the village 40%
Right?
of the developable land, and he was giving us little incidents of people's yards. It was to get, you know, so we didn't want that. We wanted it all together.
And then the exit road to go down to Morris was an issue, as I recall. Because what is it, New York that goes up to your house, right? New York? Yeah. I mean, how is that going to become a two-way street for 30 houses?
Well, we never got that far.
I know, but that's the thing, that's what planning is all about. You got to think about what's going to happen.
But I don't think that's our responsibility to sit down and try to second guess what they may do. I think they have a right, possibly, depending on what your ownership relationship is with that. They have a right to come in to present something to us that we will look at, say it's consistent with the village's comprehensive plan, it's consistent with the zoning, it's consistent with the good planning efforts that we have out there. And for us to tell them at this point, you can do this, that, that's what that is.
But I'm sorry, I don't think, I'm saying it wrong if you're taking it that way. What I'm thinking we should say is, what are the things that we need to look at when they come to us and say, you know, you're going to have a problem with this. I mean, you know, if they said, oh, we want everything to go in and out of New York Avenue and not build any kind of exit down to Morris, we've got a thing to say, you're going to need to build an exit down to Morris to relieve traffic congestion.
But didn't we discuss that with them when they were here? Didn't we mention that that was going to be an issue then?
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, you know, I think we need to make sure that we're all, well,
Yeah,
make sure that we're ready to make these kind of discussions.
Be careful, we don't want to predetermine.
And I'm also going to say, do you really want a lot of traffic in Morris?
You know, what say we have on that? If the road can be made to meet the minimum traffic standards,
Yeah.
that's where we are.
New York?
That also.
Yeah.
If it's, in fact, New York Avenue is probably wider than Morris. Morris is an old town road, so that's only 33 foot, and the village roads are all 40 foot. If you got a 40-foot right of way, you can put a pretty good road in there.
Yeah.
And it may cost you a small fortune to do it, but that's not a problem.
Yeah, I guess I was just confused. We tabled the motion because we said you were gonna bring in documentation showing that there.
We're trying to get it, so with the agreement that's written, the one thing that I have to do is send the board, planning board, a letter saying, I approve of what they're doing. That's the only thing the judge is requiring me to do. They're trying to purchase my property, but then they want to get approval of the development first before they purchase it. That's what's complicated.
Oh, no, it's standard, really.
So what was your question you're asking?
Well, I was under the impression that they had that agreement with you, but it expired on December 2018.
I think our question is, do you want to step up to the plate and say, yep, I'm in favor of this? It was kind of a question like, well, what is the status of this whole thing? Do they have an agreement with me? Do they not? I think it's expired.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, my lawyer's they're not doing a lot, so it's coming down to, that's what's the problem. That's what's been the problem for years, right? So all I have to do is send you guys a letter saying I approve, but the problem is, we're just not gonna say we approve of anything. We wanna know what they're doing. Well, you can see what they presented. This, that, they basically don't wanna be locked down to say anything. So we're still trying to get what it is they're doing so we can send a letter. That's all.
Okay.
It's that simple. So once we get that, we will send a letter saying, you know, if it's something that we feel makes sense, we will agree to it.
So if you went to the tax map, who owns that property now? And is it Varley that just has a lease on the right to buy it? Is that it?
No, it's Vamico LLC that owns it,
Which is followed.
which is Varley and a couple of partners.
Okay, so they literally own it then?
Yeah, they have since 14, I think it was, or 15, or 13 or 14.
That's 6 years, that's good.
I mean, but what the issue is that 25-foot road, right, the paper road that divides my property. That's what we're disputing.
Right.
They want it, I want it.
Yeah.
I assume it's part of the property. They assume they have access because they feel they shouldn't have to go through Morris Road. Well, that's their frontage. That's what their frontage is on the property. So even if they get the deed for some reason, they need my property because they need more than 25 feet. So that's why we came up with an agreement saying, okay, you know, all right, I'll sell them, but they want to tie in that there is approval for the development. So that's why they're presenting this, basically. So hopefully they'll present what they need and we can get it done with it, whatever it is, whether I'm you know, either I'm saying or don't, either way. So.
Okay, I was confused on that whole thing, and I guess that's why Scott is saying, I have nothing to show you, you know. I was thinking, well, I thought this was a done deal, that until you have to come to another agreement with Andy before.
Well, I thought there was a date too, but obviously, when we tried to stick to it, the judge felt that it should have continued. So now we're trying to make it continue.
Okay.
So,
But
I
it certainly sounds from the earlier email that they abandoned the plan that was shown us 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And coming up with something new.
Well, they abandoned it because we said, you don't have New York Avenue. You know, you have 25 feet or whatever it was. And we said, unless you have, you know, we're not going to do something you don't have site control. You know, it's that catch-22.
Yeah.
well, again, you know, I think they want to present it as if they own it, which
Yeah.
makes sense because you know, there is an agreement to sell if they get the approval. So,
But all I'm saying is they've got 30 houses drawn on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
And, you know, they're not gonna show us that same 30 houses again. They're gonna show us some other,
34 houses.
Well, they're gonna show us some other arrangement of houses, because he says he's got a new architect working on new plans, right? You know what he said in his email? I am advised that the engineer working for Macco has not completed the proposal yet. So I interpret that as the drawing a new set of 34 houses or whatever
30
it
houses.
needs.
Maybe it's a,
That may be a
Holiday.
COVID virus hospital, what do we know?
yeah.
All right. Per client, Vermaco is represented by Janine Lloyd. I spoke with Ms. Lloyd this afternoon. Her client does not currently have a plan to present to the board at the upcoming meeting. I am advised that the engineer working for Vermaco has not completed a proposal yet. I trust that Vermaco will update you through council when the plan is available. And then he says,
Didn't they want to do something else at one point too? Weren't they talking about units?
Assisted living.
Assisted living, yeah, they were, right? And then they switched to the,
They wanted a PDD initially, and the village board said no. And so then I saw it this way, they only had like 25 days on their option with you. So they quickly came in with,
Well, they didn't present anything until November. They had they had 6 months before that to present. They did nothing.
right. And
They
they
came in November and did a Hail Mary with something different
right,
or something unique that wasn't even
okay,
discussed.
yeah.
I just wanted to try to remember as much.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of thought went into, you know, it was like a, I don't know, 80-unit assisted living, so it was pretty big.
It was more than that, almost 100 units, at least 90-something units.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Because I remember the parking lot and whatnot.
And then so when he said no, and that was late, you're right, it was like
That was November.
November, he quickly threw together a set of 4 or 5 different options. No, actually, he came in with one option. We said, no, that wasn't good. But then he came back in January with these 5 options. And that's why at the meeting, you said his option.
That was my understanding, is that they only had till the end of the year.
Yeah.
And January was over with, and that's when I stood up and said,
Yeah, and so we said, oh, then we tabled it. Okay, so I think I have an understanding now.
So, you know, I mean, so right now, we're going back, especially based on the not coming to this meeting. My lawyer is basically trying to get a conference with the judge to say we need to get deadlines set, because we need to get going if we're gonna do anything and get it done. We need to get behind here and get this thing over with.
so something comes to the planning board, planning board approves, and then the village approves, and then with the village approval of this, then that opens up your
The sale of your property.
sale or whatever
Yes.
financial arrangement
Yeah.
going on.
Yep.
Okay, I understand. That's my issue.
It's not an easy, cut and dry scenario, in my mind. But
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, obviously they're not in a big hurry to come tell us. Let's just shake them up, you know, say, oh, we better do something, you know.
Yeah. So we just have to wait and see, as usual. It's usually the game here, wait and see.
Okay, so another issue I have is, I think I told you with these plans that we have to, for Griffin's Ridge, and maybe we can vote on,
Can you put a motion in front of us?
yeah, I would make a motion to approve the subdivision of 3.4 acres on Griffin's Ridge, which reduces the number of lots from 9 to 5.
This is the same one they talked about
Yeah, we
4,
approved,
5, 6 months ago.
but they want us to re-vote on it, and
Well, they're advertising it for sale, so I think we should vote on it.
so I made the motion. Do I get a second?
Yeah, well, will you write it down so that we know?
Okay.
All right, please. That was the one I asked at the table.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure if we have to amend the PDD. I guess we do.
Yeah, I think we would, right?
Yeah.
And that's got to go to the village board. Or it would be our recommendation for it, but they have to.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion to subdivide Griffin's Ridge 3.4 acres from 9 lots to 5 lots, and a recommendation to amend the PDD.
Consistent letter that drawing.
Yeah,
So that the village board then has to back on that?
I thought they did. They did it.
I don't think they can act till we do. On a PDD, you get it first. You can outright deny it, or you can send it to the planning board.
I think you did approve it. I think they did first, yes.
Yeah, I thought they did.
So I take that out.
Really testing my memory.
These teachers, they don't.
So, but this is paperwork for the county, basically?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, so I make the motion to amend the subdivision at Griffin's Ridge, 3.4 acres from 9 to 5 lots as per drawings.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
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 That's it.
Okay.
Tim, any report on the curtain drain?
We get occasional emails.
Yeah, I do. I spoke to, what's his name? Tom, who's handling, who's handling the whole thing. He still has not gotten an agreement with the property owner who wants engineered drawings. I stay out of it. It's an issue for the homeowners association. I really think it's something that they need to do. Although there's no problem now, I think part of the problem was that it was running uphill, and then leveled off and started to go downhill. The water was was backing up and coming into one of the basements. But it could be a problem down the road, so it's something that has to get done.
And these new houses are down at the end of this thing too.
But they're not
Well,
even hooked up to it.
I know they're not,
But to me, it's just like there are a couple of houses hooked up to that curtain drain, and it's in people's backyard. And so they need to do, something should be done. Where the problem is, that homeowner wants to play hardball. If you're going to tear up my backyard, I want my whole backyard resodded. I want this, I want that. And in some ways, I don't blame them. Hey,
yeah. So, Norma and I took a walk. You go down South Lawn, you enter the woods, you got that nice little path that ends up right. You come down there, and there's a street that goes in.